You read the title right. Overwatch 2's draw condition is weird. If you play quick play and arcade, the likeliness of you running into this is very, very unlikely. But if you play comp and you have been for a while, there's a pretty high chance that you've had at least one game where you drew with the enemy team. If not, you're either very lucky or very unlucky. For those of you who have been lucky enough to have never drawn a game, let me explain it to you. Although, it's pretty straightforward and you can probably gather from the word draw what it means. In Overwatch 2, if your team and the enemy team get the same amount of points in match, for example, both teams get 3 points on King's Row, both teams draw. On a competitive card, draws are counted as their own thing, or are they? The card clearly states that it will give you a rank after 5 wins or 15 losses / draws, so technically, a draw counts as a loss, which isn't really fair, considering that on hybrid maps like King's Row, you need to cap a certain amount of the point to win the match if the enemy team gets 0% on point. Realistically, in a draw condition, the game should recognize that your team capped more of the point down to the 0.1%, so there's a definite winner and both teams don't get a loss on their card. And that's the controversial thing about the draw condition. Because you drew, both teams get a loss on their card, which isn't really fair at all. Your team could have been doing much better stats-wise than the enemy team. But because the draw counts as a loss, your card is now tainted and you have a lower chance of ranking up. I'm going to use a self-example here, as this has recently happened to me. I had a relatively good card, full 5 wins, only 2 losses, and a singular draw, which very rarely happens to me. My stats in each game were pretty good. Playing as Zenyatta, I was getting around 10k healing, 7k damage, and a fair amount of elims / assists, and barely any deaths in the games that I won. And that was consistently without fail. But because I had 2 losses and a draw, which counts as a loss, need I remind you, it ranked me as Gold 1, which I already was in, but 70% above other players. At that point, it might as well just put me in Platinum, especially considering the last few games on my card I won were Platinum lobbies. I know a lot of this just sounds like me whining about the flawed comp system that I talked about in my last video, but this is just downright irritating to anyone. Imagine if this kind of stuff happened in Masters 1 before moving up to Grandmaster. I'm sure it does occasionally happen, but I can't really comment on it because I'm hard stuck gold. Like I said last video, elo hell is very much a real thing. All in all, I think the draw condition really needs to be reworked, as well as the rest of the system that comp works on. It's all good that it's quote unquote more skill based, but the old system was also skill based, requiring wins to level up, but on a point system. The new system works, but barely. It constantly confuses itself and doesn't know what it's doing. Just like a bronze tank who solo rushes as Ryan, you're not gonna do anything.